So, ladies and gentlemen, in this panel, we shall hear insights regarding navigating technological disruption, driving business transformation through design and systems thinking, change management, and cultural evolution. Let's begin by welcoming the moderator for the session. Please put your hands together for Ramesh Padala, Managing Director, BCG. Welcome, sir. I request you to please take the center seat. Thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed panels, please put your hands together for Vijay, Kanan, Global Head, Business Transformation and CTO, Godrej Consumer Products. Ashok Rodagi, Senior Technology Leader, Energy Technology Center, Baker Hughes. Vidya Venkataramani, Executive Leader, Global Advanced Design Tools and Advanced Technology Organization, GE Aerospace. Vivekananda Sahoo, former CIO and Director of Board, AMTZ, Niti, Ayog and Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Keep that applause coming, ladies and gentlemen. Manish Misra, Chief Innovation Officer, Panasonic Life Solutions, India. And Sivakumar Selva Ganapathy, Vice President, OpenBlue, India Software Engineering and APAC Solutions Board Member, JCIPL.
Hello, welcome to this panel. We'll be talking about innovation, design thinking, system thinking, and how to execute the whole thing together. So my name is Ramesh. I'm a partner at BCG. I'm part of a team called BCGX. We focus on strategic innovative consulting. We do build-outs of digital transformations at large companies. So we'll start with introducing the panel. So maybe we can start with you.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's awake after lunch. I'm Vidya Venkataramani. I work for GE Aerospace. I've been with them for 15 years now. I lead an engineering organization that's building the future of flight. And I'm excited to be here today.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Ashok here. I take care of the technology centers, energy technology centers of Baker Hughes, based out of Bangalore. So we are into providing the energy across the globe, not only providing the energy, but at the same time make sure that it is affordable, it's least emission, it has the least emission. So we are into that space. Thank you.
Hi all, good afternoon. I'm Vijay Kanan. I lead business transformation in digital for Godrej Consumer Products. I hope most, if not all of you, are loyal customers of Synthol. Use Goodnight at home to ward off mosquitoes, or if some of you are at kind of my age group, then use our shampoo hair color to dye our hair.
Good afternoon, this is Sivakumar from Johnson Controls. We are into smart buildings and sustainability space, ensuring the occupants of the building are safe, secure, and comfortable. Most importantly, making our planet more sustainable. So I lead the digital engineering team called OpenBlue, which is a data analytics platform enabling all the sustainability and related technologies, including net zero. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manish Misra. I am Chief Innovation Officer at Panasonic. My role is to kind of create new businesses, new revenue stream for Panasonic, utilizing all the digital technologies. I have close to 28 years of experience across the industry. Worked with IBM for 19 years across Japan, US, and 3 years with HID Global. First 6 years with Panasonic.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Vivekananda Sahoo. I was heading the Make in India for healthcare sector, and I was part of the team which was looking at technologies and investments under Make in India. So during COVID, I joined the government. Prior to that, I worked with Aditya Birla Group as a part of the chairman's team, and I have around 20 years experience in strategic investments and as well as technology. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for making the time, coming to us and talking to us about this topic. So we'll start the discussion with setting the context. So Vidya, we'll start with you. We would like to understand what is design thinking and what is systems thinking, and how does that help with innovation?
Sure. So when I think of design thinking, it's a process by which we kind of define what it is that we want to build, and then go through the process of finding the solution, iterating, and then eventually bringing it, to a product. If I take an example in the aerospace industry, one of our future trends is sustainability. It's becoming really relevant nowadays. Trying to understand what does sustainability mean to our customer, the flying public, then the airliners, then to our airframers, who we actually sell our engines to, is extremely critical in defining what our product should look like, and then how we design that product. So that is, in my mind, the design thinking approach comes in to understand exactly what it is that we want to build as a company. When you come to the aircraft engine, many of you may have flown in today. What's inside that engine on the wing is a complex machinery that is the coming together of multiple different modules which come together to form a system. And so if I say that I'm going to build an engine that's 20% better than its predecessor, that's one single goal that's set for a company. But then it has to break down into what it means for each subsystem that's there in that, and trying to think of all of these small modules as part of a whole, so that we can build this product that's going to serve our customers, is how we deploy systems thinking, to break down requirements at a product level into our subsystems and then go off and build a product.
Okay, all right. Ashok, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I correlate, the analogy what Vidya shared. So we supply compression trains driven by gas turbine for various applications in energy space, where right from reservoir, upstream, midstream, downstream. So so every module will have a huge number of subsystems, not at a small scale, at a large scale, and each one of them need to work in sync. Even a smaller component in a module cannot be ignored, because that can shut down the whole plant. So that is, the importance given to the system thinking in our world. Now we are getting into energy transition, where we are all talking about, net zero, carbon neutral, which is completely a new space altogether. Yeah, we have our products, current products positioned for that, but also we need new technologies, right? So this is where I feel system thinking will be very critical, because you have so many players, right from policymakers, energy users, energy producers, and the community as a whole. So how each of these guys will work in sync or align to make sure that the shared goal of energy transition is accomplished.
I would like to go to Manish and then maybe come back to Vijay. So.
Sure. I think if you think about design thinking, of course, there are 5 phases, and we can talk about that. It's basically trying out new things and, ideate, innovate. But 3 things, if you think end customer perspective, I think desire, which connects to the people, viability, which connects to the business, and feasibility, which connects to the technology. When these 3 intersection happens, that's when you kind of hit the bullseye. Now, from a Panasonic point of view, we are a very diverse technology innovative company, and each of these verticals are also very different. For example, people would probably connect to Panasonic as an appliance company, but that's probably 35 to 40% of our business. We are very, very largely a B2B company. We provide batteries, we provide, automotive systems, we provide a lot of industrial devices, SMT machines where chips are manufactured, or printed circuit boards. We have welding robots, manual robots. So it's a very diverse company. So from my point of view, if you think of, as an innovation leader, how do I connect the dots across all these ecosystems? And how do I bring into a common interface that's very intuitive and very easy to understand? That's what we try to do at Panasonic. And also connecting all these different subsystems or components, to look at entire system view. System thinking is more of a, diagnosing a problem right away. In the medical, if you kind of relate to it, a doctor, before doing an operation on you, first will try to diagnose. That's what the system thinking mindset starts with.
From a software engineering perspective, any thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at Johnson Controls, traditionally we have been an equipment hardware company, right? So our business model has been, hey, customer X, you have a problem, product X. Customer B, you have a problem, product Y, right? So now the expectations on the market have changed drastically. So to me, design thinking is all about shifting the mindset. Instead of having a problem, take a product, it's going outside in, and then really empathizing with the customer, trying to understand the problem end to end, and then also how do you really make it more iterative? Fail fast is okay, but also fail cheap and fail early, and then get the right problem solving, which is persona driven. In our case, our end consumer of what we are going to give in terms of digital is a technician, right? So how he or she are able to act on the data or the actions we are going is very, very important. So design thinking is imperative for us to be in the current business and the future business. And as we move on from a traditional company to a digital software-driven industrial company, now we are talking about as a service model, right? From a P by V selling products to as a service, cloud-based digital models, etc. It's very, very important because we talk about a lot of data and analytics. But if I take Japanese manufacturing concept, Toyota production system, what we adopt is, as part of design thinking process, go and see, Gemba walk we call it as, where the work happens. And then understand it and adapt your design to solve that problem. So that really helped us to make things simple, which is easier said than done, which is the complex things to happen, right? So even in terms of digital, if you send a lot of alarms, the technician won't even acknowledge it. They'll just say, okay, chalta hai, so what's happening, right? And each alarm could be fatal. It could be life, it could be comfort, etc. So that's why design thinking is imperative for us to stay in the business and be competitive. And it also, in the as a service model, in cloud and edge world, definitely system thinking is very important, where horizontal platform thinking, so that we make more modular, like a la carte offering instead of giving a grand buffet. So how do we enable our customers to pick and choose what they need? So that's where design thinking and the system thinking go hand in hand, and it is very critical for our business.
I concur.
Godrej perspective.
Yeah, I was just going to come to that, right? I think engines and pretty complex tech products. Ours is a very simple kind of consumer-driven business model. But I think the concepts that some of the co-panelists mentioned are equally applicable for our business. And maybe I'll take an example of, so we all predominantly shop and go into these outlets. While e-commerce is becoming big, still there is a lot of the consumption that happens through the Kirana stores or the grocery stores that we call in the general trade ecosystem. And we have our sales representatives who actually go day in and day out into the market, visiting over 30 plus outlets in a day, spending about 5 to 6 hours. And when you start thinking about how do you go about solving the problem of making sure that they are as effective as they can be in front of a retailer, every single day, then you need to start putting ourselves in the shoes of the salesperson who's going and visiting that store. So what information do they need? If you're going to create a mobile application which they're going to be using to collect orders from the outlet, to inform, educate, influence the outlet in terms of what needs to be purchased, then you need to make it absolutely simple, but at the same time informative and effective for the individual to be successful. So a lot of human-centered design thinking concept in terms of how do you keep it simple, but at the same time, I think I love the word Gemba that you used in terms of you can't sit and design all of that, sitting in an office here in the corporate center in Bombay. You need to be out there visiting with the salesperson, and figuring out what are some of the pains he or she are going through and how do we solve for it. So a lot of design thinking is still equally important, but the solution doesn't stop there. And that is where systemic thinking comes in, where how do you solve the problem not just for the scope of the problem that you see, but how do you solve the problem in a more integrated fashion? So being able to understand the connectedness of, in this example, if we would want to make sure that the salesperson is adequately informed in terms of what product needs to be sold in that store, you would need to have a connected data ecosystem that tells us what products are likely to sell in that locality, what kind of investments are being made. So there is a potential algorithmic problem solving that you need to bring, which finally then gets surfaced in the app. So how do you have integrated problem solving and broader systemic thinking? With this example, I think this is something that we do day in and out on a daily basis.
Excellent, excellent. So, I mean, from what I can gather, right, so the design thinking is bringing three perspectives. One is the user perspective, the usability, then the business value, how much value is it adding to business, because you don't want to do something that doesn't have any business impact. And the last but not the least is the feasibility aspect. How can we do it in a reasonable time and reasonable amount of money, right? And that you can execute. So now moving on to execution, right? So at BCG, we have this 10-20-70 rule. 10 is the idea. Most all of us have ideas, right? 20 is the implementation. You bring a couple of system integrators, they implement it and all that. 70 is the actual execution, the implementation, actual making it happen, the change and stuff. So here's where I would love to get thoughts from the panel on how, like maybe a recent thing that you executed, how you went about doing it. Because at the end of the day, execution is the most difficult part. So we can start with Vivek, sir. You can give some thoughts here.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Change management and how do you make things happen from an innovation perspective.
So just to quote Abraham Maslow, when he said that at any given point of time, we have two options always. So one is you step forward into growth or you step back into safety. But the current scenarios that we live in, I think the second one doesn't hold good. So if you can't just step back in safety, you'll just perish. I think so it is very imperative that all of us not only adopt this, but the most important aspect of innovation, I think, comes from the human element as such. So which generally, when we drive innovation or technology, we ignore that component and we take it for granted. I think that aspect of something that, which we work on, because right now technology evolution is happening at such a short cycles. If you look at from 1900, since industrialization happened, the cycles have become shorter and shorter. But we can't say the same for our biological evolution as such. So which means that the teams which performing, the teams which are executing this on the ground, they have a lot of duress, they have a lot of pressure, not only to cultural norms, but also technology norms, adapting them. What is valued yesterday is no longer valuable now. So you could be best performer, your technology, most sought after person, architect maybe probably, but tomorrow you are just irrelevant. So how do we cope with that? I think this aspect is something that, which came up because I come from a background of private sector. I worked with Altibilla Group. And during COVID, I was asked to join the team for COVID, and there was huge shortage of medical equipment, particularly oxygen that time. So how do we adapt to that? How do we ensure that all the villages or many of the cities can get access to this oxygen? So I just came with an idea of partnering with Uber. So because Uber is always a disruptor. So we partnered with Uber. You could order a oxygen concentrator right on the app, and suddenly, from no supply chain management, you had access across 80 cities. I think that saved the day for India to a great extent. So I think understanding the context of where we are planning and understanding, having the empathy with the right team and the people, I think that makes a huge change, Ramesh.
Fantastic. The Uber example is just amazing. So anyone else wants to add? Vidya, you want to talk about?
Yeah, I can share so maybe an example from the aerospace industry. Yeah. So, I mean, just to set some context, one of the jobs as an engine manufacturer is we have to work with our customers to pull the engines off the wing at the right time so that it goes into the maintenance, repair, overhaul facilities to get refurbished and then get back on the, on the engine. In the conventional model, the airliners would typically say, hey, that's my problem. I'll figure out when I'll pull the engine off. But then as we started seeing, environmental factors causing deterioration in the engine, which was more than what you would have think. So imagine a flight that's, landing into Dubai in the middle of a dust storm. Nobody envisioned that that much dust is going to go into the engine. So the engine started deteriorating further, more than we had anticipated. So one of the things that we had to do in terms of change in the way we think of to solve this problem is that we have to be partners with them and help them understand how and when to pull that engine off. It was not easy as we started out because they said, that's our problem. We are going to figure out how to do it, right? But then over time, when you go back with data, you go back with a clear communication of what needs to be done and why it needs to be done. Eventually, you're able to collaborate with them and bring them in. So in this case, what we came up with was a very innovative approach where we used data that we had from the field about how the engine is operating. We know how our engine deteriorates over time. We combined this information into an AI-based model, which helped us predict which engine by a specific engine serial number needs to get pulled off from the fleet. And when we went back with this data and said, in your entire fleet, if you're planning to pull this off, don't pull that off, pull this one off, because we know this is deteriorating more. For them, the case was much easier to understand. And so through that clarity of communication and bringing data, we were able to change the way the customers were pulling engines out of the fleet. So I thought this was one way where we changed the way we had to operate with our customers.
So you use data to drive the change. Yeah. Any other examples? Yeah.
I can go. I think I'll just build on the previous example that I mentioned around the Salesforce application, right? But I will summarize all of it as kind of there are two concepts that we drive. The first is around simplicity. So from you look at it from a change management standpoint, why would a human want to resist change? I think that's the first question we ask. And more often than not, it falls in either one of the two buckets. One, either you've made life more complex for that individual or user, or two, you're telling them something or asking them to do something which they may not fully trust. So there is simplicity and trust that, as I said, more often than not, if you're able to attack both of these problems and make it clear to the user community, then there is a lot more empathy and embracing of the solutions or change that's being brought through. So when you look at the Salesforce application, for example, how do you drive radical simplification in terms of decluttering what you're going to present to the salesman on the mobile phone? How many clicks that an individual would have to make for them to be finally able to go and close a customer order on the phone? What kind of information is being presented? Are we overloading them with information, or is it sharp, pertinent, focused? That's going to help them for that conversation at that moment. So a lot of these yardsticks then get asked, and then you start apply, the design thinking or various other concepts to really funnel down what is it that needs to be there. Second, when you look at, and I'm sure a lot of us would be going through this challenge in our own respective roles, data and analytics and data science, AI, ML is booming, but what I felt was it started creating a bit of a black box for the end users. You might have the most sophisticated, amazing, complex forecasting algorithm, but finally, if the head of supply chain is going to be presented a number of, this is what your forecast is going to look like, if there is no explainability behind that number, then the community is just not going to adopt it, and you're going to have a huge change management mountain to kind of scale. So how do you then make the right trade-offs between the level of sophistication that you might need and what is the incremental value it adds versus how can you make it more a glass box rather than a black box in terms of what we do? I think these are a couple of examples in terms of how we have approached change management and how we have started driving it across the organization.
So in our world, energy world, I would like to blend both innovation as well as change together. We deal with the customers across the globe, and none of our
it'll also help for us to get a context of who the actors are, like who the users are. I think you're headed that way, but
in terms of customers,
who are you managing the change of?
Yeah. So managing change, I think what I was trying to say is, when you deal with customers across the globe, none of your products are standard. Every product has to go through highly customized for a particular customer. So change comes naturally to us, and it also leads to innovation because the market is changing, customer requirements are changing. So you always need to be on top of in terms of what do they want next, and how to what extent they want us to customize, because in energy space every meter cube of a gas or or oil in terms of liter is going to be very valuable, because as oil and gas price fluctuates, you can understand they want it to be as reliable as possible, as productive as possible in terms of so that's where innovation comes into picture, to make sure that not only from a technology standpoint, even from a the data that we handle, there is a huge data that gets generated, how that data can be monetized to help them keep their running up and running. So that's where it's a change comes naturally, but change drives innovation day in, day out for us.
Maybe I'll give some example from a consumer point of view. We had launched our connected living platform called Mirai, which is for the home appliances to bring into this platform, which is IoT AI-enabled platform. So one of the unique feature we had launched was, normally when you, on a summer day, when you go to bed, you put the AC at a very low temperature, and then maybe 20 degrees or something, and maybe middle of the night you feel a little cold, so you increase the temperature, 22, 23 degrees, And then again, around 4 a.m. or something, you again feel cold, so you turn it off. And in the morning, while you're waking up, you feel a little hot, so you turn it on. So essentially, you did not get a sleep, proper sleep. This was the use case for us to actually launch into this platform, which is Mirai. So we created a sleep profile so that before going to bed, you can set with your fingers, first hour, this should be the temperature, second hour, this, and you can draw it, and third hour, it should be turned off. And you can kind of, get a peaceful sleep. We started to collect a lot of data and all that, so we were understanding the user patterns. So one of the things which we realized was people who were using sleep profile were actually not doing the manual intervention to the air conditioner and not getting up in the middle of the night. And those who were not using, a lot of manual interventions are happening 2-3 times in the night. So we started to promote this particular feature from the platform itself, and people started to use. So earlier, out of our all users, probably 20 to 30% were using. We see now that has touched to 80-85%. That's the kind of, so with the data, with analytics and all that. Another thing is, we also launched, earlier all our products has paper warranties. And paper warranties, when you need it, you don't get it. I can vouch for that. Whenever you need the warranty card for a particular device, you don't have it. We launched our digital warranties for all our, devices and appliances, and that goes inside the Mirai mobile application. Now you have it. Now what it did for us and what it did for end consumer is very interesting. Earlier, we only used to know about probably 60 to 65% of our end customer, because we also do B2B sales to like Vijayas or Giryas and those kind of channel partners, and they sell it to end customer. End customer, when the time comes for servicing, he would call a local guy instead of calling Panasonic service center. But with our connected platform, we know our end customer. So what happens is, when the warranty is going to expire, we push a notification saying that your warranty is going to expire. If you want AMC, you can take 15% off or something. So one, our reach to the end customer has gone up. Second, it has created a new business model for us to sell warranties on the platform itself. So that's a unique perspective.
Just to add, from Johnson Controls perspective, I'll give an enterprise view first. From a change management perspective, I mean, we all know we were in a world of internet, now AI, ML, generative AI, and whatnot. So first, what we had to do was start with the board and diversify the board, which is AI aware or AI savvy. Right? So that's first critical change management which we had to do, because that's very important, because as the expectations from the shareholders are growing, we need to ensure that we have the right constituent of the board. And number two, yes, we have a great product, maybe it hardware or a solution or a software product or whatnot. The second focus area is how do we commercialize it? It's not about we releasing it from dev to QA to prod, but what are the go-to-market approaches? What are the channel, direct, indirect, or whatnot, and how do you commercialize it? So that end-to-end view is a constant change, particularly for a diversified manufacturing company which is trying to become a software manufacturing company. And third one, from a talent perspective, right from internet to click-based economy, now we are a touch-based economy. So how do we keep our developers and engineers reskilled and ensure that they are up to the standard of what the current and future beholds? And also from a change management perspective, how do we do a continuous training and creating awareness both internally and also from the customers? So we listen to the customers at sometimes, because the world is changing too fast, we may also have to bring them up to speed. Hey, these are all the things which is happening, these are all the regulations which are coming, and these are all the solutions we are offering. So these are some aspects which I thought I could add to what my fellow panelists said.
Very cool, very cool, yeah. So this Panasonic automatic setting is in on Panasonic air conditioners or some of them? Because I haven't seen it myself.
Most of our air conditioners are not connected air conditioners, and on all the connected air conditioners, you can have this. So you'll have to use the Mirai mobile application.
You can do it on your mobile.
Yes, yes.
Very nice. I will try it out. Okay. So we'll move a little bit more towards creating COEs for innovation. Using design thinking, systems thinking. How do we drive innovation in companies and in countries in some cases, right? So we'll start with you again, right? For example, Make in India. How is the government or how is the organization thinking about fostering innovation? How do you go about setting up infrastructure, setting up that idea thought process? How do you then also bound it so that it doesn't just go crazy, right?
So Ramesh, I think one of the ways that going forward is when we look backwards. So I believe in that, because I think a lot of, Dr. Karan, he's here. So he was mentioning about how the cycles are actually repeating, the innovation cycle. Nothing has happened as such. But then if we have to adapt ourselves to a technological challenge or to bring innovation, I think our cultural back history has enough anecdotes and enough systems and designs which we can refer to. We refer to something which has worked in the past, and it will also happen in the past, in the present also. So if I have to think of innovation, I think one of the most important cultural integrity brings a lot into what we innovate as a culture. So if you look at Japanese, you look at the South Koreans, you look at the Taiwanese, you look at the Europeans, I think each one has a different style of innovation, the kind of mindset they bring into the picture. I think that is the key. So if we can understand in Indian context, what is that works for me? How do I foster this creativity? So I think what I believe that our strength is that being empathetic. So you look for teams, you look for creating teams, basically who can go to uncharted territories. Okay, you can provide them inspiration to look for a North Pole, and they will all rally around it. Okay? So if you have people, you can nurture people who are actually willing to experiment, willing to learn, unlearn, relearn. I think that is what is the core of innovation, and I think what we call in Indian very easily is jugadu. But I think that is a very key thing. I think somebody can, if a dabbawalas can go to UK and they can make a commercial model out of it, even in a country like UK, why can't be jugadu? So if somebody does research on that, and we can form a maybe a paradigm or maybe some meters of what goes into that thinking, what goes into execution of the jugadu, I think we have a great innovation model with us. We don't have to look anywhere else.
Manish, from a cultural perspective, how do you create that?
Yeah, I would say that that's the most difficult part. There's no 0 and 1 kind of thing, but it's all about the mindset. It's all about the mindset. When we created Panasonic India Innovation Center almost 6 years back when I joined, the the idea was to start coming up with the new business ideas and all that. So we started doing a lot of things. And all those things were even scattered. We did a edtech solution. We did fintech solution. Panasonic is nowhere. Nobody's know. So think of it that we gave the freedom to each and every individual to form a core team and act as a startup. So think about it. We were running 15 startups at a given time. And we were funding startups or the ideas or the proposals which were doing well and having some ROI. And the ideas which were not doing well, we started to pulling the, putting the money. So that gave the very, strong first step for us to launch few things. And then we started to consolidate those innovations. So Mirai was a kind of, a consolidation of certain other initiative, including digital warranties that I talked about, and that became a pillar in itself. Our digital factory solution, again, started like that and became a pillar. We have digital signage solution. It started with plain vanilla signage business, but later on we provided advertisement platform on that, e-shelf labeling, meeting management system, queue management system, everything under that pillar. So we started to create bigger pillars. So the first thing is you give that little bit of innovation, the freedom for individuals to come up with some idea and let them try it out. Like I think Shiva said, fail fast, fail cheap also. I mean, I cannot put 20 CR in one of the project which is not doing ROI, right? But I can put something on the one which is giving good returns. The second aspect from the innovation point is not from the people, but how do we encourage, how do we create that culture where everybody feels part of the system and can share an idea. Not many companies do that. Having those ideation marathons or hackathons and running those kind of things and letting people try it out, that always helps. So yeah, I think.
So fail fast and invest in the winners, right? Yeah. Vidya, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll probably pull on what Manish was saying. The concept of failing fast, failing early. It's something in a space like building aircraft engines. Most of the time when we say we're going to build this product, we don't really know exactly how we're going to build this product. We've signed up for something. So everyone in every team, in every sub-module, every part, is having to think of new ways in which how they'll meet the requirements of the product. One of the things that we do is to actually put together multidisciplinary teams. So it's not just me as a thermal engineer, I have to solve this problem. How will I solve this problem? Hey, can I get somebody who's a mechanical engineer who's thinking about the part and what the form fit should be of the part to sit with this person and say, why don't you do it this way? It'll be good for both of us. So the multidisciplinary brainstorming always leads to much better solutions than just individual engineers. So that was one thing that I wanted to say. And celebrating, when this doesn't work, great, let's move on to the next idea. No idea is bad, let's try it out and let's move on, right? The second concept I wanted to bring on, driving this culture is something from Lean. So, Shiva mentioned going to Gemba, where the work happens. And a lot of small but very, very small incremental improvements can happen on a day-to-day basis. And, GE is now focused a lot on bringing Lean into our company. And so one of the ideas here is, when you lay out a process and you identify that I have a roadblock here, one of the tenets of Lean says, go find 7 ways in which you can solve the problem. And so typically, when we have a sensei in one of our sessions, the sensei won't let us move forward if we don't come up with 7 ways of solving the problem. So the team has to keep going. And a lot of times, you'll find that idea number 6 is the one that we deploy. Yes. It isn't idea number 1. So it goes back to, come up with ideas, try them out, fail fast, and then find the solutions.
Right. Yep. Well, with that, it's a wrap. Thank you. Thank you to the audience for spending the time with us. And thanks you to the panelists. Very interesting ideas and a lot of thought-provoking ideations even happening here. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.